Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I want to mention this. I'm glad we could do it while you're on the air with us. I got this yesterday. I'm going to put up some pictures. But New York Army National Guard Staff Sergeant Derek Tucker, a Corning resident, was one of the two winners of the New York Army National Guard statewide Best Warrior competition on March 23rd. Let me put the pictures up on the screen. There he is, Corning resident, Derek Tucker. Tucker, a member of Buffalo's 105th Military Police Company, won in the non-commissioned officer category. Another member of the 105th MP Company, Specialist Trevor Locke, won in the junior enlisted category. The Best Warrior competition evaluated the soldiers in physically and mentally demanding events designed to replicate real-world warfighting conditions, according to the New York Army National Guard Command Sergeant Major Leland Jones. Tucker will now compete in the Army National Guard Northeast Region Best Warrior event in Rhode Island in June. The winners of that event will compete against National Guard soldiers from around the country at the end of the week. Taking part in the week-long competition was, quote, one of the better experiences of his military career, Tucker said. I thought that was pretty cool. Those are great pictures that they sent me, so congratulations to Derek Tucker. I wanted to say that while you were here with us, Phil.
Yeah, well, he went to school with my daughter.
Cool.
He played in the Corning rugby program.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a great kid. I know his family. It's really. I saw the article.
Yeah.
And we have a little family chat. I sent it to you. This is the same Derek.
Yeah.
You know, I go, okay,
all grown up,
yes,
right?
Yeah. They grow up quick, but yeah, I mean, being a National Guard, but also, we always talk about the corrections. I mean, he's, the National Guard. They're in our correctional facilities.
Yeah.
I know he was inside of them. I mean,
isn't that wild?
He was at school and now he's there.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing. So, but congratulations to him. That's a great tribute to him. So it's very exciting.
You know, when you think about this, these are my words, but he wins that warrior competition, all that training. At what point was he trained to be a corrections officer?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
None of them were.
None of them were. That's not what they joined the National Guard for.
And the amount of money that's been spent just having the National Guard in there, like over $535 million to date.
Yeah.
She had to lay off 2,000. She made the choice to fire 2,000 corrections officers because they decided to protest about the working conditions. It's just, that's a whole other issue we can get into.
We can maybe talk about that.
I'm sure we can. There's just a report out on overtime for docs too. So
yeah.
Anyway,
but let's first talk, and we've been talking about it on the program, and we quoted you, New York Post. Congratulations.
That's very unusual for me.
Yeah, that was great. But we've been talking about the budget delay. Obviously, it was supposed to be passed on the 1st. Today's the 10th. You've had the extender. We played a clip, I think, last week of you talking about the extender. So what now? You have to the 14th?
Yes, we'll be going back on Monday, taking up another extender. Probably Monday, minimally with Tuesday, because we have another set of payroll. We had a payroll that had to be made last week, but payroll this week that has to be met, including the National Guard. The emergency personnel will have to be paid, so we want to make sure Mr. Tucker is getting paid.
Yes.
And things like that. So we got to deal with that, but it's just more of the same. Mm-hmm. We've passed 2 extender bills. We passed 1 actual budget bill, the debt service bill.
Yeah.
We have 9 more budget bills to pass. During my discussion with my colleague, good guy, Gary Pretlow, he's a ranker on here. He's a Ways and Means chair. No closer to details, no financial plan, no targeted all funds number. We know it's going to come in around $270 billion, but no numbers. So how are we supposed to move forward?
Yeah.
And part of the comments I made in the floor is our school districts, they're making decisions right now. They have a school budget vote next month that they have to prepare for. Our local governments are trying to make decisions soon. I mean, we're in a shortened construction season. They have to decide on local government projects, road projects, bridge projects, culvert projects. I mean, the governor put out a big press release last week saying she's going to do all this work, which is great, but our local governments are waiting.
Struggling.
Businesses are making tough decisions, families, and continuing this delay does nothing to get us closer to where we need to do. I mean, it keeps light on, but it doesn't provide any clear direction, and that's what New Yorkers want. They don't want a temporary plan. They want a final plan that's fiscally responsible and fair.
There's something kind of ironic. I just got my taxes back yesterday, and I owe New York State, and they're taking it out of my account on April 15th. It's kind of ironic when you think of the time frame that I can't. Can I reach out to Hochul and say, hey, can I delay this for another 2 weeks?
Well, but if you're probably due a refund, then there's no rush to get your refund.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I haven't had that problem in a long time in New York State.
And I've talked to a couple people said they say, what's taking so long?
Yeah.
Oh, because they owe you money.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you owe them money, it wouldn't be.
Yeah, I don't think that they would accept my extender.
Yeah, exactly. But but the budget's in delay. I mean, there are outstanding issues. I'm not a big fan of policy in the budget, but I think sometimes you have the governor. I mean, when Bruce Blakeman wins governor's race, he's going to have to, use the power of the governor's office to do it. And I agree with her on not increasing taxes, although she's got tax increases in her budget.
Right.
But I agree with her on we need to make changes to the CLCPA. Although she's created much of this mess on her own.
Well, that's the problem. She's creating the problem, and now she comes in to fix it because it's an election year. She realized how bad it is. But to think that she's getting that much pushback, I don't know if she's going to. I don't know if she is going to make changes because her party hates her for even talking.
Oh,
about
yes. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, she better. I mean, it's not feasible.
No.
I mean, her own agency put out a report saying if they don't delay or make any changes, the numbers are their numbers. I mean, I know people are concerned about gas prices the way they are now with what's going on with Iran, but we're talking about a $2.23 a gallon increase.
Yeah.
On top of where we are currently, if these policies get implemented, we're talking about a $2.41 a gallon increase for diesel. On top of where we are right now, if these policies get increased, we're talking about a 46% increase in utility rates for small and medium commercialized businesses. If these process doesn't get delayed or changed at all, we're talking about a 60% increase in delivery truck operations if this doesn't get changed or delayed. And so, we need to do something, and we need to do something now on it. We needed to look at the time frames. I mean, the EV school bus man, I was just talking to someone on the street, my neighbors on the street about this, and I mean, that's the mother of all unfunded mandates. I mean, starting next year, every bus purchase is supposed to be electric. Yes, you can go through this waiver process, but it's not an easy process to go through. And they're supposed to convert their entire fleets by 2035 when the state of New York doesn't have to convert their entire fleet till 2040. Where does that make sense anywhere but other than New York, to New York bureaucrats?
Exactly. We got a comment from Mark who writes in, Phil, congratulations to all you are doing for us. And it's not a doubt that New York State budget is delayed as Hochul has ridiculous agenda. We need Bruce Blakeman. We're going to talk about Blakeman here in just a moment. But I think we were talking last week with your colleague, Assemblyman Joe Sepolinsky, who I erroneously called Assemblyman Phil Palmesano coming back from a break. But he was on
he here on a Friday?
Yeah, he was on a Friday. See,
there you go.
It's in my head. Yeah. But we were talking with Joe, and I think there's something to be said that we lament the fact that it's one-party rule in Albany. One-party rule, we talk about all the time. But even with all that power that they have, they can't even come to an agreement on a budget.
No, it's
three people in a room and the same party.
Yes.
If you got three of your Republican colleagues together in the same room, do you think you could come up with an idea pretty quick?
I think we could figure it out pretty quickly. I mean, and we don't even we're all right. Just put us at the table. Yeah. Bring the minority leaders into the discussion. We'll weigh in.
We'll help you fix your problems.
We'll help you fix the problems. But it doesn't make any sense. One-party control since 2019 has brought us some really devastating policies. It brought us the CLCPA. It brought us the Farm Labor Act. It brought us the electric school bus mandate. Right. It brought us cap and invest. It brought us all electric vehicles and things of the like. And then the thing with Governor Hochul, she always likes to say, well, I wasn't here for CLCPA. Well, she was there for the all electric buildings passed under her watch in her budget. She was there for cap and invest passed under her watch in her budget. She was there for the all electric school bus mandate under her watch in her budget. So what more ownership do you need to show?
Yeah. No, that's exactly. But she does that with bail reform too. Everything is Cuomo's fault. Well, at what point? And even Cuomo's office said it about a year ago. How long do you have to be in there until you start taking some of the blame?
Exactly right.
Because she'll take credit.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm worried about even with the CLCPA stuff, like she did with bail reform. She didn't really do significant changes to bail reform because at the end of the day, there's still no judicial discretion to consider the dangerousness of an individual when setting bail. So she might chip around the edges of the CLCPA, but so you can take a victory lap saying she did this.
That's what concerns me. That's what I think. I don't think there's going to be any real substance. I think when the changes come in, you're going to come on this program and we're just going to say nothing changed.
I mean, it's her whole mantra about all the above, all the above.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing I react in press conferences when I talk about. That's a slogan. But the policies don't match the words. I mean, just this week we did the chapter amendment for the 100-foot rule.
Yeah.
That's the one where there's a subsidy to connect people to the natural gas system.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, it's going to save ratepayer money. It's actually not. It's going to cost them more because what they fail to recognize in this discussion, and by the way, when we had this discussion on the floor, the majority were saying they wanted to stifle debate on the main topic, because all they did is extended the date of the effective date, and they always want us to keep limited that, which is crazy. But that's neither here nor there. But the reason they think it's going to save money is because you don't have the subsidy, but they do have the subsidy for electrification. And what it does is allows people in the first 100 to connect. But when you have more users on the system, you spread over those operational and capital costs over more users, ultimately saving them money. So that initial upfront subsidy that they're getting is going to be paid back in dividends over the years to the existing ratepayers. But when you have fewer people, if you make it more expensive to get on that system, people aren't going to get on it. Like down in New York City and Long Island, where they have dirty oil boilers, they're going to stay on the dirty oil emitting boilers because they don't want to pay that extra fee. So now you have fewer users on the natural gas system, so now they're going to be paying more for those capital construction costs, those operational costs. And that's the end of, that's what I said there in my discussions. I go, your goal is really to get fewer people on the natural gas system. So that's not all of the above. And your goal is to make it so expensive for them to stay on that system so they feel like they have no other alternative. And that's the problematic. So they're not all of the above policies. I mean, during the budget debate, everyone kicks around the word affordability. I mean, it sounds nice, but it's a practical reality for the viewers on this show, the viewers across the state of New York. There's an affordability crisis in New York. There's a quality of life crisis in New York. And in some areas, there's a really public safety crisis going on. And the policies that continue to be implemented and passed in the state of New York do not help us address those issues for New York families and businesses. And if you're talking about energy policy like we have, I see businesses, they care about two things when you talk about energy policy: affordability and reliability. And if you can't get affordable and reliable energy in New York, they're going to go elsewhere, and they already are. I mean, you're talking about all these projects, like these huge Micron project, which is going to be a big economic boom, but they're a huge energy users. Are they going to be relying on wind and solar? I don't think so. So what's the end game for these folks? I mean, it's like a blind ideology. And New Yorkers want energy choice. So like I said, that poll last year is 71%, and it's consistent. 7% of New Yorkers don't want to ban on natural gas, including 76% of independents. 2/3 of New Yorkers want a balance between renewable resources and natural gas, including 74% of Democrats. So the message is clear. New Yorkers want energy choice, and they want affordable and reliable energy.
I agree. We got to take a short break. Keep those questions and those comments coming in, and we'll be right back after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. You know it's a beautiful day when motorcyclists are going by at this hour, Phil. We are talking with Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. A couple comments from viewers. Ken writes in, when the Democrats are bashing Republicans, they speak with one voice. When they're deciding on what special interests they want to fund in the budget, they can't easily decide because they're all invested differently. That's a good point. Thank you, Ken. Comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank and Phil. Well, good morning to you. I saw in the news that NYSEG wants to increase rates 35%. Is that going to happen?
No, it's not going to happen to that extent. I mean, when they go for a rate increase, when they propose it to the PSC, they basically propose a 1-year increase, and then what they do is they go through this, it's like at least 11-month process where it gets reviewed. Now there'll ultimately be a rate increase. It's going to happen because especially to pay for these green electrification mandates that's being in place. And what it is usually it's usually they try to negotiate a 3-year or a 4-year or 5-year, spread out the plan over so many months. But in 1 year, it's not going to be that. But anything that happens will be spread out. At least the way it usually works is spread out over 3 years. But there are rate hikes coming, and it's really. And I know many people. I'm not saying the utilities aren't at fault, and governor likes to point fingers at the utilities, but and my colleagues fail to take responsibility and look at their green energy mandates that are driving up utility bills.
Well, and from a PR standpoint, it's horrible for the utility companies. Because what do you get in the mail? You get the bill that says NYSEG, you get the bill that says whatever. It doesn't say thanks to Albany.
Well, the thing about the bill is, I mean, there's 3 parts of it. When they go for the rate increases, it's on one portion, your delivery and transportation portion. The supply is a pass-through, so they have to go procure the energy out on the market, and the supply, that's whatever they get charged, they basically pass through, and then so that's one part of your bill. Usually the supply is around 40%. It can range 40 to 50%. deliveries 30 to 40%, and then there's the part of the bill, taxes, fees, assessments, and surcharge. Sometimes that can be as much as 20% of your bill. These are assessments and surcharges that viewers are paying on their bill to pay for a lot of these green energy programs, the green energy mandates, the efficiency programs, things like that. And that can be up to 20% of your bill. So I have a bill that I'm putting in that Senator O'Mara, that they have on the other side too, that would say we'd suspend all the taxes, fees, and assessments.
Yeah.
At least for a year, delay it.
Give it
because
a little ease.
That's something we can do direct, immediate relief. Because I think New Yorkers really want direct, immediate relief rather than subsidize someone's electric vehicle purchase, subsidize someone's electric heat pump. They have legislation we're going to be debating next week about subsidies to have a rebate for electric lawn equipment. Hey, if you want to buy electric lawn equipment, God bless you.
Yeah.
But why should grandma
Why should I have to pay?
or subsidize your purchase of it? And it's more out of touch policy. So again, I'm not saying the utilities aren't at fault at this, but they're just trying to implement these policies, and I think sometimes they have to prioritize the electrification portions instead of really looking at making the major infrastructure improvements that are really going to ensure the reliability of the grids. They want, a lot of times you're hearing the PSD wants them to invest more on wind and solar side on ensuring those things come online versus the infrastructures, substations and things like that really are going to improve the overall quality of the grid.
Before we move on to some other topics, Phil, what are your predictions? Obviously, April 1st was the deadline. According to the piece you were in the Post, I mean, it seems like there's no end in sight. Any prediction on when you think it'll be done?
Obviously, legislators have their guess.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't say. Well, my prediction, I predicted May 7th at 1:45 a.m.
Oh, you got to go that close? 1:45
Yeah, no, I could be wrong, but that's just a guess. I mean,
Amazing.
that
Well,
would
that would mean quicker than last
budget.
year,
No,
right?
it'd be a little later in the government. Last year
Was
was,
it? Okay.
I think last year was the 6th, but last year was the longest, and every budget she's done has been late.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's an important. Well, that's what the piece was saying from the Post, where the lawmakers are just saying, "Well, no, it's expected now." I don't think it's expected. Joking
that's the
again.
thing. You're right. and I when we're debating, like I said, Gary Pretlow, he's a really good guy. I've sat through the budget hearings with him for 12 hours and talking to him, and we were like. He's like, well, I'm hopeful we could be, and that's the question. Are we going to be here doing a budget next week? He goes, I'm hopeful, and that's the word we hear, hope. I go, hope springs eternally. I said, I go, like, when opening day had, I'm like, I can agree with hopeful. Our leader Ed Roth from he's a Mets fan. He's hopeful for the Mets. I go, I'm more partial to the Yankees, so I'm hopeful, but but I said in my statements this week, I want to remain hopeful, but I'm not optimistic.
I think you're actually, according to this Post deadline here, Phil, last year you're going to be a day early. Last year was May 8th.
Oh, maybe.
So you are optimistic. You do have hope.
I did. I think I had a day down before I picked originally, but I saw it was on Cinco de Mayo. I go, they won't have us in there on Cinco de Mayo.
No.
Just
so
joking.
we're going to be ready for May 7th. But that's funny. You have like the Super Bowl squares in Albany where you guys each put money on it.
Oh, you'd be better off just dropping a day in a hat and just picking out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
really sad that we got to joke about this though.
If it wasn't true, it would be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but it drives you bonkers that they can't sit down, same party in control, and they can't come to an agreement on this stuff.
No. Like you say, I mean, they're all in the same party, and they're fighting almost as tough as they would fight Republicans on some of these issues, especially with CLCPA. I think that's going to be really interesting to watch.
That's going to be the one to watch, I think, because there's some colleagues that don't want to have anything to do with it. I mean, I saw my colleague, the chair of the Environmental Conservation Committee. I like Deborah Glick. She's very passionate about her issues, but she's out there saying we shouldn't change the methodology, which is another thing I don't understand. Right. This is a change to the methodology, because right now when we pass the CLCPA for the viewers, we use a 20-year methodology to measure emissions. Every other state minus one uses a 100-year methodology. The U.S. uses a 100-year methodology. U.S. Code uses a 100-year methodology. But by not making that change, that's going to significantly increase the cost of a gallon of gas. Right. Going to significantly increase the cost to heat your home with natural gas and fossil fuel. And now, if we change it to 100 years, it's still going to go up, but it's not going to go up as substantially and as significantly as quickly. And that's, this came out a few years ago, and I said, the governor had people come out and talk about it. That doesn't change anything to the goals or the time frames. It just changes the methodology. And the reason they want the 20 years, because natural gas, I'm not a scientist, but natural gas, the first 20 years is when it has the major impact.
Okay.
So when you look at that's why it's a significant. So when they do the formula and the taxes, fees, and assessments, it'll look at it over a 20-year period. But if you spread it out over a 100-year, the emissions impact is not as, when you measure it for a 100-year period, is not as significant, but it's really significant in the first 20 years, and it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Why? Just change the methodology to match everyone else, because that makes it more complicated for us to do even business with other states, like Washington or Oregon and things like that. So
we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Phil, I want to play this because I know April's a very important month. It's Donate Life Month, and I want to talk about that for just a moment. But we played this probably 2 weeks ago, and I just kind of, I thought it was so moving and so touching that I wanted to play it again before we started this discussion.
Thank you all for being here today, this important day. Hard for me not to talk about this issue without talking about my sister Teresa, the Purple Heart veterans, our son, AJ. One person who donates at the time of their death can save up to 8 lives and impact the lives of 75 others.
He donated to 6 families. We've met his heart recipient, Stephanie. Truly a nonpartisan issue. It's about life.
Donating life is giving life. That's wonderful.
It's incumbent upon us as leaders to do what is the right thing. My colleague, Assemblymember Tapia's bill 10299 is very important.
New Yorkers are good. If we just give them the opportunity to say yes, they will say yes.
Donate life is simply the right thing to do. Let's get this done this year. Let's all work together. Let's make it happen here in 2026. Thank you.
Phil, I just thought that was wonderful that they put that together, and I think it kind of speaks volumes about why this is so important to you, but also just where people should know more. Could you tell us a little bit about Donate Life Month?
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this to you and the viewers. Organ donation is a very, very important issue for me. It's very personal to me. My sister Teresa was a juvenile diabetic, and it impacted her body over her lifetime and ultimately got to her kidneys and her organs. So Teresa had a transplant in 2000, first from the kindness of a stranger who checked that box. That, so when they passed away, she benefited from the organs. And then in 2006, I had the opportunity and privilege to donate a kidney to my sister. So, and her daughter at the time, when they moved down with us and lived with my wife and I, she had a 5-year-old daughter at the time. They lived with us for 2.5 years, but so during this process, in 2006, when I donated to her, so, I've seen firsthand how organ donation can impact the quality of life in someone's life. Sadly, my sister passed away in 2013, way too young at the age of 50. But I still tell people, Teresa was a lucky one. She had 2 transplants. Right. Some people never have 1. And I didn't realize how bad the numbers were until I stepped on that assembly floor in 2011. My colleague, my friend Jim Conti, was a 2-time kidney transplant recipient, and I never wanted to talk about it because it was personal to me.
Yeah,
and he goes, Phil, you need to talk about this because when you share the story, we help educate people. So he's the one that kind of coached me to doing it. And then Jim passed away in 2012. But before he passed, in that year, we passed what we call Lauren's Law. It was named after a brave 12-year-old little girl named Lauren Shields who had a heart transplant. And after that, she didn't just walk away. She became a fierce vocal advocate. She didn't just lend her name to this fight. She lent her face and her powerful voice to push for this law. So what happened with that law, that was the start. I think that started to turn things around. Because that day when I stepped on the floor, the donation rate in New York State was 23%. Wow. Back then, we had over 10,000 New Yorkers on the wait list. We had 1,700 who were waiting for more than 5 years. We were having 600 people die annually. So that was done. And so we passed Lauren's Law, which I think was the first positive step. And what that required is, so on your driver's license, when you go, you get asked a question, do you want to be an organ donor? Our DMV crews, people do such a great job asking that question. So you have to answer yes or skip the question. You don't have to say yes, but you have to answer the question or they will not process your license. So that changed the game. And few years later, we passed a law that allows 16 and 17 years to register their intent to be an organ donor. God forbid something happens to a 16-year-old,
Right.
the parents would have that decision, but at least it kind of lets the parents know where they might stand.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they become 18, they're locked in. And that's important. I see kids at 16 are going for their license.
Right.
And then when they hear the story, I think they want to do stuff. And the other thing, 3 significant things we've done, I think that really changing them, is we created an online donor registry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people can go online, answer some secure questions, and become it can become a donor. And that's changed. So, but I mean, we made progress, but we still have a long way to go. And here's the statistics that are powerful. Right now in New York, we have nearly 8,000 New Yorkers waiting for a transplant. Nearly 800 have been waiting for more than 5 years. We have the 3rd highest need for organs, but one of the worst donor enrollment rates in the entire country. Sadly, last year we lost nearly 300 men, women, and children waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. You know, we can. What I always say about this, we can and we must do better.
Yeah.
But the statistic that I said at the press conference, one person who donates at the time of their death can save up to 8 lives and impact the lives of 75 others. My colleague, Robert Smullen, who was in that video, he tragically lost his 14-year-old son, AJ, who was hit by a car, and they donated his organs. And I was at an event, Donate Life event, with him last year when he was there with the heart transplant recipient of his son. Talk about moving and seeing that life connection, and it's just something that touches everyone. And I understand when I tell people, I understand this is not an easy issue for people to talk about, because you're talking about your own death.
Right.
But then I say, what if it was your mom or dad, brother or sister, husband or wife, or God forbid your son or daughter, and you heard those statistics I just told you? Maybe, just maybe, you might think a little differently about this issue. So I tell people, if you're already an organ donor, thank you. But if you're not, talk to your family and consider it, because it's really about saving lives. And you always hear that saying, one person can make a difference. Well, in this case, you truly can. And I just say, let's have those discussions, and let's work together and save lives. But we've made some significant progress over the year, but we still have a long ways to go.
We got a question from a viewer. It's kind of interesting. It says, "Good morning, Phil." He said, I know your story with organ donation, and kudos to you. My question is, what would you say to someone that believes the organs are kind of like sold to the highest bidder, or there's some type of corrupt nature in this? Because, that's one of the, some of the hurdles you have to overcome to convince people to do this. So I think that's a fair question.
Yeah, it is. And that's not the case. There's a registry list that's vetted. The other question that people get out is, am I too old? Don't let your age or health determine your decision. Don't say they're not going to take my kidneys, they're not going to take my liver. They might joke because I'm a drinker. Don't. But regardless,
Yeah.
If that's your hesitation, don't. There's a process in place. I mean, last year we passed a law that we call the HEART Act. My friend Crystal Peoples-Stokes, Democrat majority leader, we do the press conference in Albany. This was our 3rd one, where we do a poster contest and getting young people involved on Donate Life. That was part of that.
We promoted it. Yeah.
Yes, and I appreciate that. And the young girl who spoke at the press conference, she's dynamite. I'm glad I didn't have to speak after
Yeah.
her. But no, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. I mean, I understand it. I think the best thing to do is, if you have questions, ask people.
Yeah.
At Donate Life New York, they're our main organization. We work hand in hand with them. There's a process in place. It's not you don't get to pay for it. Anyone that's doing anything like that, that's an illegal operation.
Right.
But we have a registry that's created, and it basically goes to the person when an organ comes available. It's the person who's the highest need and how that's rated. I don't know how they rate it, but it's rated in a way that happens. And unfortunately, there's so many people on the wait list. Yeah. It can not happen as time. That's why we tell people, please register. You can save lives. I mean, we see a lot of living donations, like what I do with my sister. I've seen a program where people say it was me and you and your brother or your sister, my sister, and we couldn't match for them, but say you match for my sister, I match for you.
Right.
They do cross. There's some of that's going on with people, and I have people that just donate to a stranger, like Ari Brown, my friend who spoke on it. He donated to a Purple Heart veteran. Wow. He didn't know who he was before. I had another person who donated. They donate to strangers. So I get this hesitancy about it, but I would say do not let that be a burden or a hindrance to doing that. There are quite people you can talk to. I always say go talk to Donate Life, but there are protocols in place. It's not a highest bidder thing at all.
No. Hey, I forgot I had my Donate Life pin. I should have worn it today.
There you go.
It's in that's drawer. They were kind enough to join us last year. All right, we got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here in Market Street Corning. In that studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Here's a new one, Phil. From Ken.
Hey, Ken.
Frank, how do we get Phil voted in as New York State comptroller? So it's no longer governor. Now you're going comptroller, Phil. What do you think? How do we get you voted in, buddy?
We have a good candidate for comptroller.
Okay,
So,
yeah, we do.
We'll hopefully be around with them in the near future.
Speaking of good candidates, so I thought, I guess wrongly, that Hochul wasn't that concerned about Blakeman. And then apparently she must be that they take away his matching funding.
Oh, my God.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, your viewers know, I've been
Yeah.
very critical of the program, but the program is the program. And,
Yeah.
you comply with it. So Mr. Blakeman applied for the program at the end of last year to get into the program. And there was apparently like a law change that said now you have to file things jointly with your running mate.
Right.
So there's never any notification to them.
There was
They
no
had to-
paperwork.
There's no paperwork.
They didn't
That's
have the
it.
paper
They said they
in
didn't
to
file
fill out.
this joint paperwork. There is no joint paperwork available.
Right.
That's number one. So that wasn't provided. They didn't notify them about the error because a lot of times in the Board of Elections, I think they've been very helpful.
They're very
this is
helpful.
a new program.
County-wise, they're
Yes,
great.
Yes.
I didn't do matching funding or anything, but I mean, how many times? Oh, don't forget you have to do this. That's what their job is.
Yes. And I remember talking to a reporter up there. A lot of times, with this new system, the Board of Elections has been trying to be helpful to candidates because they know it's new. Hey, here's a problem. You got to fix this. They'll give you a mail. If something's wrong, they send you a mailer. Say fix it. But no chance to fix it.
They didn't want
just
it.
really a partisan 4-3 vote, and the governor's appointed basically decided that vote.
Yeah.
This is just political weaponization of a program because she's fearful. They don't.
And the whole thing it was supposedly designed for, which isn't accurate, but the whole reason it was supposed to be for the little guy to take on the incumbent.
Yeah.
And this is what they do. I mean, it goes to show you it was a joke from the beginning.
Yeah, yes. And interesting, it wasn't just Mr. Blakeman. There were 6 other candidates that were invalidated who were trying for it too.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but it's really sad. But he's suing them.
Rightfully so.
He should win. I would if he doesn't win, then then they're all in the bag.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because it's Court of Appeals in New York.
And I think the fix was in from the beginning because I think that's why Hochul didn't take the matching funding, so she could act like she was taking the high road and that we're both on it because there's something suspicious about that.
Well, she knows she can just raise a ton of money.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to worry about it. But there's going to be money in this race. I mean, regardless. But hopefully he gets this if he wants. So he's there. Yeah. But it's just so hypocritical of the other side. A program that they touted about fairness, about equity, about making sure, if you want to give $100 to Mr. Blakeman, and then they benefit from the program, so it's not the big money. But they it's mind blowing.
It was laughable, and to see that the onus was on Blakeman. This is a brand new rule. You don't have the form yet. Shouldn't the onus been on you to at least come out with a form?
Yeah. How can you say the form's not filed if the form isn't available?
It's non-existent.
That's like the IRS saying, you didn't file your taxes, but where's your form? You got to give us a form. The accountants have to fill out the form.
I know.
So there's no form. Give me a break. I mean, this is just ludicrous. I mean, you can't like I said before. If it wasn't, it'd be funny if it wasn't true.
Oh, exactly. Ken writes back in, if Phil needs to pretend to change parties to be comptroller, he would be good with that. So if you have to, so just keep this in mind. Don't write it off
thanks,
yet.
Ken.
A comment from a different viewer. Big hello to you guys from Canisteo. Well, hello, Canisteo. On that note, we'll take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking, wrapping up today's edition. So get your questions in. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security and Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In the studio, Assemblyman Phil Palmesano. Ken wants to clarify, not saying that I don't want Phil as the governor. Comptroller is the stepping stone. All right.
Okay.
I wanted to you alluded to this at the beginning of the interview, and I want to talk about it because obviously we have a big contingency of viewers that are corrections officers, and we talk about it a lot. We had the sheriff on Wednesday talking about it. Bruce Blakeman had that nice rally in Elmira, with the corrections officers. And then we get this report, DiNapoli, ironically your opponent.
Yeah.
New York State workforce overtime surged 23% in 2025, driven by docs, prison strike.
Yes, I mean that's what we saw last year. I mean,
why did what are the reasons? Why did they strike, Phil? Because of overtime.
I still don't use the word strike.
Oh no, I know you
but,
don't.
But it was the protest. I mean, when I remember going to Elmira, I went up to 5 Points. I went to Groveland and talked to them. Not one of them said this was about money and benefits. What it was about safety and quality of life. You know, we talked about the halt aspect of it.
That too. Yeah.
That was one thing. But these guys don't want overtime. They want to see their child's softball game or little league game or coach or be available and not get their vacation time to take one. That was happening on a nonstop basis. It's still happening.
And I remember that sign that was so impactful that the prisoners get to see their families more than we do.
Exactly. I mean, they're on their phones. They get free iPads and services they can be on. It's just mind blowing. It's like the policies always seem to favor the inmate or the criminal over our law-abiding citizen or public safety or our law enforcement officers, whether it's inside our correctional facilities or outside it.
Right.
And I just when I saw this report, that's not surprising. I remember talking to a corrections officer. He goes, he made like nearly $200,000 in overtime.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to make that.
Want
I
that.
really don't want it, but
No.
they're forced to do it.
Yeah.
They're mandated to do it, so they can go in for they might go in for an 8-hour shift. It turns into a 12 or 16 or a 24-hour shift.
And we all heard the horror stories of you're planning a family vacation and they say, oh, sorry,
Yes.
send the family ahead. You're not
Exactly.
going.
I mean, can you imagine I couldn't imagine. I mean, if those moments with your family, a daughter's musical recital, piano recital, a big award, those happen one time, and to be able to miss that pays its toll. And working that facility is stressful and dangerous enough as it is on mental health, on personal well-being,
physical
and then to take all of it, and then to have that mandated time and taken away from your family, and that's all these guys want. But then what the government does, fires 2,000 of them. Yeah. And her answer to that is that right now over $535 million, bringing National Guards, like young people.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they're not supposed to be. I mean, going back to what we started the program with, National Guard did not train to be corrections officers. That's a very specialized job.
Yeah.
And you've got to add too, on an already stressful job, just like you said, imagine how that plays in your mind where you have to call your wife and say, I can't make it to the recital.
Right.
Hey, I can't make it to the baseball game. I know I promised you. It's almost like out of a bad movie. I can't work. I got to work tonight.
And I'm sure that the spouse is angry about it, and and they know, but it's like, you need to be here. Why can't you be here? I mean, it's not a great quality of life. No. When I talk about we have a affordability crisis and a quality of life, we have a quality of life crisis. But that protest from those workers, from those CEOs, was about their quality of life and their safety. And the fact that Governor Hochul still doesn't acknowledge that or recognize that or take responsibility for it is mind-blowing to me, and not doing anything to address it and saying, hey, the National Guard's going to solve our problem. She doesn't give one iota about these people, because she could have put HALT reform, which we all talked about, in her budget. That's why I questioned the governor's own person. She could have put death gamble, which would help on the retention part of it, which to ensure if she wants to keep those corrections officers there beyond their 25 years, some want to stay and help out and work. But if, God forbid, something happens to a corrections officer at 26, 27 years as they're working and they were to pass away, their spouse would only get a death benefit, not the pension that they secured and earned and deserve. And that's just mind-blowing. So why doesn't she put those things in her budget? And the governor's people saying things like, well, that was them. I go, no, your name's on his paper.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of had a little frustration with them.
We got to go, Phil, but
sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Phil. Always a great show. Goes very fast. Keep your Friday mornings free for Frankly Speaking, Phil. Well, thanks for joining us, giving us so much time, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Good luck with that May 7th prediction.
Yeah, I hope.
All right.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's earlier.
I know. Join us on Monday morning with Frankly Speaking. We'll see you then.